Hi. Today we're going to talk about the first house haunting that I ever went to with the ghost group that I was a member of. The date on this one was December 13th, 2015. And this was a private residence. A young family was living in this home. And this was a single wide trailer put on top of an old property where the house had burnt down. And the family's complaint was toys going off, um, feeling extreme anxiety and anger, frustration, irritation, the family pet staring off into the one corner, um, hallucinations, seeing things out of the corner of their eye. They had a friend also who was going to rent a back bedroom. This friend, every time he came to the house, he all of a sudden would become suicidal for no apparent reason. And this house was definitely haunted. The people that resided in the home before them were practitioners of dark magic. Um, Basically dark witches. They did seances, they pulled people from the other side. They would basically, the people on the dark side, they cause havoc. And that's what they did here. The person who owned the home that burnt down was a Vietnam veteran, and he committed suicide. He came home from the wars handicapped and was in a wheelchair. Those were the only facts that I know after this investigation. The problem with this type of an investigation is that this Vietnam veteran didn't want to be there, wasn't there by his choice, was forcibly brought back, and then locked here, which is not fair. It's not right. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Dark magic or no dark magic, something like that should not be done. So I was also learning my skills at this time. I was talking to him. I couldn't find the portal that he was brought in for or through. The portal that he brought in through was probably an object or something, but I couldn't find it. Wasn't experienced enough. And learning that I was trying to help them with what I knew, was listening to my spirits and telling me what to do. And basically we were just there as an investigators, asking questions, things like that, of the spirits. And I have in my notes what I got from this guy that I had spoken to. His name, again, I can't, my weakness is names, and I'm okay with that now. What I got from him, according to my notes here, is that he started out with I got the word corporal. It was fuzzy. I got the word number 59, fuzzy, and 24, and that's what he used to introduce himself. When I kind of repeated back what it was, somebody else who was in the service, he said that's rank and serial number or something like that they would use during negative interrogations and things like that for the service. I don't know, not very, I wasn't in the service, I don't know a lot of that. He wanted to know why he was there, why he was summoned, why can't he go back. He also wanted me to know that he never touched the baby or the lady in the house that was there. And he said he don't know what's that about, but he didn't do it. He was swearing that up and down that he didn't do it. I asked him multiple times to cross over, and he didn't. So he was saying things like hate him and coming across. And at that time, basically I told my ex-husband to put the sledgehammer down because he would put protections on the house. And one of the things that I had found out from the first time that he had done a protection in an area, I was unable to use my abilities to get through it at this time. It didn't last for long. So every time that he would do his final thing and protect a home that had children in it especially, I would always have to leave the property so that I wouldn't become part of that and lose my abilities too. Even though I am of the light and I work only on the good side, I still sometimes have to be able to read things that happen on the bad or on the dark. In this particular case, the owner of the home and his best friend, they were concerned about him. And what ended up being the story with him is we had like a reveal, or we went back to this residence shortly after because the spirit didn't calm down. He was still trapped there. He was still angry. He was still causing trouble. The owner's best friend was going to move in, but every time he came to the house and he would stay the night, he would feel more and more suicidal. And it took me a little bit, but I figured out what was going on. And I'm a lot quicker now. But at this time, this friend was also a serviceman. And when he would come in and stay with the owner of this home, which was his best friend, he would put his gear, his duffel bag and all of that, he would throw it into that back bedroom. Well, that back bedroom was very close to the bedroom of the house that burnt down, where the Vietnam vet was trapped. And I was able to release them in a way that nobody else really knew about. Not only did I help the soldier who was coming there to live, but I also inadvertently helped that Vietnam vet to cross over. The two ended up being linked, and they each needed to learn a lesson from the other. I only wish I could get the feedback on this one, because what I ended up explaining to happen is the dreams that the visiting friend, when he would spend the night, I actually got to meet him on March of 2016. And they had some things going on that were non-paranormal in this house also. They had, their plumbing was not done correctly in the master bedroom. So they had leaking toilet water and debris from that, which can cause headaches, hallucinations, things like that. There was other causes too. But in this particular case, the story that I got that I couldn't prove with any type of EVPs or anything like that, which is the purpose of these stories. The Vietnam vet didn't mean any harm to the friend who was a fellow soldier. And he said all he was doing was sharing his story. But the way in which he was sharing his story was also so traumatic for the soldier from the Saudi Arabia time that he wasn't putting two and two together. The Vietnam vet was just commiserating. Was almost like if you were at a UAW post and two people pulled up a bar stool and they started telling each other their war stories. That's what the Vietnam vet was doing with the soldier that was the friend soldier that was there. So I had the soldier, I had him close his eyes, recall the dream. This is one of the ways that you can help people like this. Recall the dream. Is the dream and the activities that happened yours or somebody else's? He was in the desert. everything was dry and sandy and desert terrain. The dreams that he was having where he would wake up suicidal was humid and hot and jungle and trees and monkeys screeching and all kinds of things like that. So I told him, I said, those were not your dreams. They were this wheelchair-bound vet who came back at a time where everybody was ostracized for being in the war. It was a horrible time for a soldier to come home injured and have no support in society at all. It led to him to commit suicide. He was just telling his story to a fellow soldier, and the fellow soldier didn't understand what was going on. So once he was able to close his eyes and picture the dream and get out of the feeling and the emotion that led this man to commit suicide, he was able to understand, empathize, and realize that it wasn't him. A very interesting thing happened right after I had that conversation with this soldier. As soon as he had one single tear that went down his face, with that tear, a bright light showed up. And I was like, wow. And so I said, Corporal, that's your ride. You're free to go now. And he just said, thank you, ma'am. And he went into that light. There was a ship, a model ship, that was behind my shoulder. One of the things that I do when I do the clearing, cleansings, helpings, or whatever, is I make it so that nothing malevolent is allowed in the home. But I don't want to stop spirits from coming to visit people. So as we were getting up to leave and saying thank you, for allowing us into their home and for us to investigate and things, I looked over at that ship and it winked at me. Kind of weird, I know, but it's I don't know if I actually saw a person in that ship or if the ship became a face for a quick second and just did a quick wink at me. It was a grandfather-y figure who was saying thank you for helping his family. It was an amazing experience, and it made me feel so happy inside that I was actually able to help that situation. And unfortunately afterwards, I was criticized for a lot that I did. When you're a ghost hunter, you have to be a ghost hunter, I was told. Without proof, I shouldn't say anything. You can't get proof and stuff like that. And that's another reason why I'm doing these stories. So that I can help people who are experiencing things like this. It's interesting. It's challenging. And I allowed too many people's opinions to influence how I did things. And that's something I'm still working on to this day. So I hope you enjoyed the soldier story. It was one of my first very interesting ones. And if you enjoy these, please like and share. Maybe I can get some more people that'll listen. Have yourself an amazing day.